Hey there, welcome to this explainer, designed specifically for you, the 7th grade learner. Today, we are diving straight into short stories, review and transfer. This is Unit 6, Lesson 3. And it's actually pretty cool because we're going to take the story mechanics you already know and use them like a secret key to unlock these ancient oral tales. Honestly, by the time we wrap up today, you're going to see the narratives all around you in a completely new light. Let's get into it.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll start by reviewing short story elements, then look at transferring those to the oral tradition. After that, we'll walk through a moral choice example, and finally wrap up with your practice and lesson check. Starting things off with Section 1, Reviewing Short Stories, the Mechanics of Plot and Conflict. So let's do a quick refresher on the core mechanics that really drive any narrative forward. First up, you've got the plot, right? That's just the sequence of events making up the story. But then comes the conflict, that central, massive struggle the main character has to face. And what drives that struggle? Well, that would be character motivation. It's the underlying reason why a character acts the way they do. All of these pieces don't just float around randomly. They work together through a cause and effect structure. Basically, one small action inevitably triggers the next, constantly building up that tension.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, Oral Stories, Transferring Your Skills.
So how exactly do moral choices reveal the underlying theme of a story? Let's walk through a specific example. Imagine your main character finds a magical ring, right? It grants wishes, but there's a catch. Every single wish causes a massive disaster in a neighboring village. Now our character is literally starving, but instead of wishing for a huge feast, they choose to just throw that ring right into the ocean. That specific scenario, that really difficult moral choice, isn't just a random plot detail. It instantly reveals a massive theme about selflessness and sacrifice. The character's motivation to protect others is what drives the action, and boom, it creates that deeper meaning. To really lock this in, you'll be tackling some leveled practice in today's lesson. And what that means is you're going to practice tracking plot and conflict in oral stories at a difficulty level that is perfectly tailored just for you. So whether you're identifying a basic sequence of events, or maybe tackling some more complex analysis of character motivation and how it affects the theme, this practice is going to challenge you to apply these mechanics directly to the text you're reading.
Let's jump right into Section 3, Oral Tradition, Stories Across Generations.
It really makes you wonder, why do oral stories survive across so many generations and cultures? Why do some myths just never die? I mean, we have endless entertainment at our fingertips today, yet we still tell the exact same fundamental legends our ancestors told around campfires thousands of years ago. It's crazy. Well, the secret lies in their incredibly strong, memorable cause and effect structures. It turns out the exact same structures that make a modern short story so gripping today are exactly what allowed these ancient tales to be easily remembered and passed down through spoken word for centuries.
And actually, let's clear something up right now, because there's a big misconception out there. A lot of people think oral stories are just simple little children's fairy tales, but in reality, they are deeply complex narratives. They are built on the exact same character motivations and conflicts as the most sophisticated modern fiction you could read today. They were spoken and passed down precisely because, well, before the printing press existed, this was quite literally the most effective way to share complex cultural values in history. Now, to properly navigate these narratives, you're going to need your key vocabulary. We already talked about the cause and effect structure that drives a plot, but you also need to be able to recognize an archetype. An archetype is basically a recurring character type or a theme that pops up in myths across completely different cultures. Think of the brave hero or maybe the clever trickster. By analyzing these archetypes and the choices they make, you uncover the moral. And that is the core lesson or cultural value the story is ultimately trying to teach us.
So, at this point in the lesson, you honestly have all the tools you need. You know how to analyze these oral myths, you know how to identify their cause and effect structures, and you know how to uncover the themes hidden inside character choices. Your next step? Prove your knowledge today by completing the specific check for understanding, which is linked right there in your lesson materials. This is your chance to show exactly how well you can transfer all those short story skills over to ancient traditions. You've totally got this.
And that brings us to Section 4, Your Storytelling Journey, Connecting the Dots. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. When you track written plot, character motivation, and those tiny choices in fiction, you are actually developing analytical skills that transfer perfectly to spoken myths and global archetypes. Unpacking why a character makes a small choice in a short story means you are studying that cause and effect structure. And guess what? That exact same cause and effect structure is what drives a myth forward. The motivations you dissect in a simple short story are literally rewiring your brain to understand the universal, cross-cultural values embedded in oral traditions. Ultimately, understanding character motivation in a short story, it's like a skeleton key. It unlocks the universal themes in oral tradition. So whether you're reading a 6-page short story written maybe 10 years ago, or you're analyzing an oral legend passed down for 10 millennia, your destination is exactly the same: uncovering universal themes and cultural values. You are learning to read deeply so you can discover the shared threads that connect all of humanity together. You've seen exactly how authors use small choices to reveal these massive themes, and how ancient cultures used spoken myths to pass down their most precious values. So I want you to ask yourself, what large ideas will your own story choices reveal to the next generation? The skills you're building today, they aren't just for analyzing other people's myths, they're the actual tools you will use to craft your own narrative. As you step into this lesson, I hope you are incredibly excited to tackle your practice. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and have a great time with the lesson.